All right, Bulls Nation, Peck and Big Dave here at our CHGO studios, West Loop, Chicago. Pleased to be joined by none other than Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Mr. Mayor, thanks for being here with us. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me, and congratulations to you all on your incredible success, reaching an incredible milestone, 100,000 folks. Right?
That's right. I hear we get a plaque. I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully it doesn't get lost in the mail. So you were just chatting with our CHGO Bears crew. Shout out to them. Obviously, a big game coming up this Saturday. Bears-Packers, playoffs, Soldier Field, nothing bigger. The Bulls have their own important date coming up right around the corner, January 24th. Derrick Rose, Chicago's native son, his name and number going up into those United Center rafters. A very short list. What comes to your mind when you think about a Chicago kid getting an honor like that for one of the city's teams?
Yeah, well, what an incredible honor for Derrick Rose, and it's just a special moment for our city to be able to celebrate one of our own, right? And so, what comes to mind right away, of course, is just his explosiveness, his creativity, and of course that Chicago grit, on the grind, playing basketball the way, we are taught to play, right? Where you're shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, and meet me at the rim.
And don't be late.
Don't be late. That's
right. Shout out Stacey.
Do you have a favorite Derrick Rose memory, one that pops up in your head when you're thinking about just his greatness on the floor?
Yeah, there's so many. Of course, man. Look, and I know this is, probably many people will have this, same moment. Just that semi-finals, man, against LeBron, and man, that buzzer beater, man, and just the look on his face like we're not done yet, right? It was like we're all celebrating. I don't think the United Center has been louder than that since then, but he had this look like I told you, and we're not done. Yeah. There's one game I don't remember, man. It was at the Garden, and he may have had that iconic, he takes the ball like back to like the top of his butt.
That
he probably had like
3
or 4 of them, man, and it's just that those moments are pretty special.
Very special.
Now, not to point out age, but you are of the same class of myself and Big Dave, of Bulls fans who actually remember when this team was winning chips and doing so every year. A lot of our listeners of younger Bulls fans generations, those poor souls, I feel bad for them. We feel bad for them because the D Rose years is the best that they've seen, and it's been a while since that. But you are somebody who grew up in the Chicago area and remembers the true good old days. Do you have a favorite of the 6 championship teams?
Oh, man. Look, so I will say it's hard because, that first championship was just so powerful, right? We were just so happy for Michael and Scotty, right? The OGs. But when Dennis Rodman came to the Bulls, that was a pretty special moment because here's the thing, to your point, growing up in that era, to have someone like Dennis who was a part of that blockage with the Pistons, and then his maturation to everything that he became after that, once he became a Bull, I mean, I think it was that year, man, when they broke the record. Of course, obviously, we know that another team has since surpassed that. But that
Warriors didn't get the ring, though.
They didn't get the ring, though. No, that's a good point.
It don't matter. It don't count. It don't count. I want to know what your fandom was like for the Bulls growing up, because I know in my house, sports is pretty much everything. Like, I remember when the Bulls and the Knicks were having, their series, we didn't have cable in our house. It wasn't allowed. When my mother found out the only way to watch the Bulls game was on cable, we had it the next day. So what was that fandom like for you growing up in your home?
Yeah, no, same, similar experience. In fact, just not too much of a side note, but it's one of the reasons why I was a Cubs fan and not a Sox fan.
I forgive
you. The Sox, I'm just saying, Sox game was on at 9, 10 o'clock at night. It was channel 44. What I mean? You had the knob behind the knob, but you had to twist to make it come in clear. I just gave up on it. Like, it just, you got a game on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to root for that team. But I think for fandom for the Bulls, though, I mean, because, we didn't have cable either, right? And so, for us, it was one of those things where, if you could not catch it, on the radio, right? You'd had to just kind of use your imagination a little bit, or here's the thing, you stayed up to watch the news. For no other reason to get that sportscast moment.
So true. Very accurate.
Mr. Mayor, we know you have a busy schedule, so last question from me. As we look to the present and future of the current Bulls, they're struggling to get off the ground with this younger squad. They've turned the roster over, but they're kind of hovering in that play-in tournament range. Damn the person who invented the play-in tournament. You can say no to this. I want you to say yes. Can you use and wield any of your power from the mayor's office to convince certain people involved with the Chicago Bulls that the play-in tournament and appearing in it every year is not good enough for some Bulls fans who remember better days?
Yeah, in fact, I'm working on an executive order as we speak.
Let's go.
So I got you.
Let's go.
I got you there. So
Yes, sir.
therefore, be it resolved that play-in games is not good enough for our Chicago Bulls, right? Now, look, it's tough when you have that, hovering around almost 500.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, they are a young team. The game has changed dramatically, right? Since, the way we watched it growing up,
sure.
The fact that games end like 135 to 119, right? We were just reliving some of the glory days. And I think, the final game that Michael Jordan played in the Bulls uniform, that incredible iconic shot, I think it was like, 87?
87, 86.
It was.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 45 days.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like 87, 86, like that's halftime.
That's right.
Right. So I think that the Bulls, first of all, the fandom is solid.
Sure.
And I think that fans deserve, to have another couple of pieces to be added to this team so that we can get to a point where we're competing not just for a 1 or 2 seed, but we're to go deep in the playoffs and ultimately to bring a championship back to Chicago.
Yeah, and final for me, can you speak to that like a little more broadly? Like what that Bull success means to the city of Chicago and to the people, because we are ingrained in it. It doesn't matter what side of town you're from, or if you're like Harold's or Uncle Remus, it's all right.
All right,
It's all right. But just explain that though, like what it feels like more broadly when the Bulls are winning here in Chicago.
Yeah, look, sports unite us. When the Bulls are winning, though, there's a different swag about our city. Right. I mean, from, our attire
Yes, sir.
to how we show up in our workspaces. But here's something that I think, not enough Chicagoans know is that when the Chicago Bulls are a winning team, it affects the entire global market. I've spent some time out of the country. And you'll see Bulls jerseys in other places in the world where you may not see another sports team in Chicago's jersey, right? So it's not just good for our culture, for our swag. It's not just good for America, but the Bulls, this is the team of the globe.
Right? Thank you, MJ.
You're right, exactly, right. Yeah, so I remember one time, I was in Brazil, and there were only 2 questions that the people of Brazil would ask me about. Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson. They only wanted to know those 2. So, no, you're absolutely right.
The 2 Michaels. Well, Mayor Johnson, thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with us, man. We appreciate it. And bear down, right?
You got it. Bear down. Go Bulls.